This guy checks all the boxes.
What's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to the wrap-up with Skubie Mageza, and three-time national champion AJ McCarron. And let me tell you something. 11 years ago till this day, AJ, something happened. Clemson and Ohio State lost on rivalry week. And now, on the same day, 11 years later, Clemson and Ohio State lose the same game. And on top of that, we have LSU go down. Top 5 team. Things have been as crazy and bonkers as it possibly could for rivalry week. And this is why we love this game of college football, right?
It's insane. Today was absolutely nuts, and I can't wait to get into these highlights, Scoop. It is going to be awesome.
Now, last week, you and I, we went through a pick'em of rivalry week of who we had winning these games. And let me tell y'all something. Got close. It was unexpected. I lost money on my bets, and I lost some of my picks.
What is that picture?
First of all, ESPN Images got some professional pictures of me, production back there. You got AJ over here laughing at my picture, but Mama thinks it's cute. All good. So we're tied up at 2-2. I have 2 wins. AJ has 2 wins. This man is losing it on set. So there's only one way to break this tiebreaker, AJ. A game that has been here since the Stone Ages. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Let's do it.
Best 2 out of 3. He's still laughing at my picture. You see the hair. I'm taking the pic.
That's all I know you have.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yep, that's me. What? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Hold that out, AJ. Hold that out. You can laugh all you want, but I close it out with a big dub. What a great performance from your boy. But there was also some other great performances, which brings us to our unbeatable performances from today's action, brought to you by Xfinity. And who else could it go to besides the Michigan Wolverines? They roasted the Ohio State Buckeyes like the turkeys we had on Thanksgiving in a 45-23 win, which is why the award is going to the entire team. This is a game where the Wolverines didn't have their Heisman candidate running back, Blake Corum. And it was J.J. McCarthy and the offense lighting it up. We said they had to throw the ball, and they did. Listen, Ohio State led this game 20-17 at halftime, but the second half was all Michigan. The Wolverines outscored the Buckeyes 28-3 in the second half, the first time that Ohio State has been outscored by 25 points and a half since 1999. Michigan also had 242 rushing yards in the second half compared to just 19 from Ohio State. Both you and I picked Ohio State in this game because we said, listen, if there's no Blake Corum and you're relying on this kid's arm, it ain't happening. I have looked the camera in the eye on every show this year and said, ain't no way Michigan is beating Ohio State. But I stand here corrected, and now you do as well.
Well, we didn't take into the factor that we didn't know Ohio State wasn't going to have a defense on the field, and when they had guys out there, they just weren't going to play any defense at all. Like, that was one of the worst performances I've seen from any defense all year long. To go up against a Michigan offense that has ran the ball as better or just as good as anybody else in the country this year, and to do that and to really just lay an egg when it comes to passing defense, like, what are we doing? Scoop, I did not understand the scheme today. Like, you look at the 2 of those touchdowns that J.J. McCarthy had today out of his 3.
Naked. They were naked.
I mean, wide open. There's nobody within 10 yards, 5 to 10 yards of them. Like, how did guys get that open?
The whole thing about this game that stuck out to me before, and I kept on tweeting, Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator that they brought over there from Oklahoma State, they brought you over for one reason. The game. This game was the one that he was supposed to be the most influential, have his hand in it the most. And in the first half, they were so committed towards stopping the run. You saw them having everybody up in the box, and you know what? It did work. But then Michigan said, you know what? Let's try throw the ball. And it worked. And it worked some more. And still, Jim Knowles did not decide to change up anything in his defense. It was one of the most stubborn performances that you could ever have from your defensive coordinator. But now looking forward, we have Michigan playing Purdue in the Big Ten championship. And if you ask me, I think this might be a cupcake or a walkthrough game for them. I would have liked to see Illinois in this game, AJ.
Yeah, I think Illinois would have been a much tougher opponent for Michigan. But listen, I'm with you, Skubie. I think Michigan runs away with this thing, kind of does whatever they want to Purdue, throw it, run it. And I think they run the score up on them. And I don't think Purdue can hang.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that for sure because Purdue's just been a roller coaster team. But, check this out. So this is something we felt like we had to bring up because 2 weeks ago, our very own Spencer Hall, some of you may know him at the SEC Network, he said, I think Michigan is going to hammer Ohio State, a team long on skilled players and passing yard and short on wanting to be hit and be hit repeatedly. I am not exaggerating when I say that the Michigan Wolverines under Jim Harbaugh might be solely designed to win this game and this game alone. Again, this exact kind of Ohio State team. Northwestern hit too hard and too often for the Buckeyes' comfort. What the hell will they do when Harbaugh has a pulling guard and tackle coming the other way around the corner with crowbars in hand? Spencer is hilarious, and Spencer was getting a lot of stuff from ruthless OSU fans ever since he made this comment 2 weeks ago. So, Spencer, what do you have to say now?
Dear Ohio State fans, on November 15th, I wrote that Michigan was going to hammer your team. For this, I took abuse on the internet, which is my job. There is a black space where my soul used to be. And you can't really hurt it, no matter what you say, especially if you say that I was wrong. And for about 5 minutes of this game, it looked like that I might be wrong, with Ohio State making dazzling plays to Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr. has no business being around college football players. He's already in the pros. We're just watching him moonlight, and we're lucky for that. And yet, football is a 60-minute game. And this Michigan's Wolverine team, as I said, is designed to absolutely hammer people. In particular, built to defeat this kind of Ohio State team. Because once you get rattled, once the run game starts failing, and once you decide that you're going to man up with the Wolverines, they're just going to throw the ball over their head, completing balls to dudes named Cornelius for long gains. You can't feel good about that. You can't feel good about any of this because not only am I right, a huge nerd, and there is nothing that enrages the Ohio State fan base more than a nerd. Not only that, you blew an easy path to the Big Ten championship. You blew an easy path to the playoff. And now you might be outside looking in if anybody but a computer is making the decisions about who makes the playoff. All because Ryan Day can't figure out what to do with 10 NFL first-round draft picks and third and short. That's not my fault. That's on you. I don't have to make anything up. I can just list facts, and you have to feel bad. Like that you lost to Michigan by like 20 plus points. Oh, at home. And you better do something about it because you're either coaching it or you're letting it happen. And right now, Ohio State's just letting it happen.
Sheesh. Man, OSU fans, he just let it out on them. I'm sorry if you have to sit there. If you had to sit there and take that, if you're a Buckeye fan, but let's keep this trend of rivalries going and talk about some more important rivalries. I mean, we will still keep this a football-themed conversation, but there are some other rivalries that really needed our attention as well. So we made a list. And AJ, I shall be asking you these questions. Starting off, best time of the year, fall versus spring?
Spring.
Okay, because summer's around the corner. All right. I shall also side with AJ and say spring. Better pet to have, dogs versus cats?
Dogs.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
100%.
For those of y'all that don't know, my name's Skubie. I have a golden doodle named Scrappy. Shout out to my boy Scrappy. Papa will be home soon. All right, superior school, LSU or Alabama?
Alabama. And it ain't even close.
AJ was offended when we brought up this scenario in our meeting. So we're going with Bama. I shall side with you again. All right, top cola beverage, Coke versus Pepsi.
I mean, I don't drink either, but I like Coke products more than I do Pepsi.
You know, I could go either way on this one. I'll flip a coin. I guess I'll say Pepsi. All right, worst type of neighbor, loud versus nosy.
Ooh. Nosy.
They all up in your business. Listen, I'll take a loud neighbor because let me tell you, on 420, it's gonna be real loud on that neighbor. Better playing conditions, turf versus grass.
I don't know. I know people don't like turf, but I tore my ACL on grass down in Miami.
You did? It was grass?
It was grass.
Oh snap! I thought it was turf.
No, they had laid down new grass, and they had gaps in it. So I'm gonna pick turf for now.
Hell no, man, screw turf. Turf tore my meniscus. Grass all day. Let's go with the natural. All right, tougher for the QB. Drop pass or miss block?
Drop pass.
Really? Miss block? AJ was telling me a story about how James Harrison and Von Miller rang your bell. You would rather get your bell rung than a drop pass?
Well, at least if it's a miss block, sometimes you can, try to make a guy miss, or you can get the ball out quicker if you see it happening. Drop pass, there's nothing you can do. Like, I put it on the money, the guy dropped it.
That's a good point. All right, more embarrassing situation, bad haircut versus a bad fit.
Oh, bad haircut.
Oh yeah, because at least you could change your outfit.
If you can look good up here, like you can pull something off. You can pull something off.
Doesn't matter what you got.
Come on, Scoob.
All right, better workout, cardio versus weights.
Ooh. I mean, I'm into weights.
Same here. We trying to get some abs. Summer 23, we on the way. Okay, last one. Would you rather always have cheesy fingers versus popcorn in your teeth?
Oh, the Cheeto fingers for sure.
Yeah, because at least
that's
popcorn
in my teeth. I can't stand it when you have a kernel in there.
And it's not like you can do anything. At least you can taste the cheesy fingers. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like finger licking good. That's the reason why they have that. All right, those are the rivalries, and they have been settled. But it's still rivalry week, and we had some games that went down last night. So for those of y'all that missed it, here's what you missed. America, Santa has a naughty list. And he also has a nice list, but on this show, we have AJ's A-list. And I know for those that have watched the show before, you want your quarterback to be on this list. He's on the B or the C, but not everyone gets to make the A. And this week, we got a Heisman edition. We got AJ's A-list, Heisman edition. He's gonna drop his top 4, because one thing we all know about this season is nobody's taken this award for themselves. So, AJ, who do you think is a front runner? Starting at number 4, though. Don't give us the first guy yet.
Yeah, listen, I had somebody else earlier tonight at the number 4 spot.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Bo Nix, but they lost to
Bo.
Oregon State today.
Oh, no, Bo.
So I got to move him out, Scoob.
That's how you got 4.
And then the number 5 spot's got to move up to 4. We got Bryce Young.
Roll Tide.
Yes,
Whoa.
sir.
Hey,
listen,
they got a dub today. 343 yards, 4 total touchdowns. He still had himself quite the year, let me tell you.
He did. He was 13 of 20 at halftime for 4 touchdowns. Like, he had an awesome day, a big win for Alabama in the Iron Bowl. And for a guy that won the Heisman last year, has had, not as good of a year this year, but he needs to be back in that conversation at least, being the reigning Heisman winner.
And let me tell you something, AJ. Bryce Young now has 82 touchdowns responsible in his career, passing A.J. McCarron for second most in Alabama history. So if you didn't know that, A.J., that's why he's on your list. All right, at number 3, let's go. Who you got at number 3?
At number 3, I think probably the most consistent all-around leader all season long, and somebody who needs to have more respect to his name. More respect.
Come
Put
on.
some respect on his name.
Stetson Bennett. 140 yards today, 2 passing touchdowns. Doesn't sound crazy, but he had an 83-yard passing touchdown, which is the longest this season. He's been the leader under center for the leading team in the country.
Yep. Listen, they won the national championship last year because of him. And then they're on a roll again this year, the number 1 team in the country for a while this year. It's all because of him. He is playing the most consistent for this team out of anybody in the country.
Oh, man, we do need to respect Stetson Bennett. I don't know why we don't. He's about to go back-to-back like Drake. All right, at number 2, who do we got? It's about to get spicy.
For me, right now, and it could change after tonight,
Sure.
but leading into tonight's game, I had to put Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, he'll be a favorite in many people's books.
For me, though, it's the fact that they haven't really had a big-time win that kind of separates himself from everybody else. He hasn't put up just a crazy amount of numbers in a huge game, and USC's schedule isn't crazy tough.
True.
So right now, I have to keep him at the number 2 spot.
Yeah, he has a chance to take this award all for himself. One more week to see what these guys can do to take that award, and one more person left on your list. Who do you have at the top?
I think he's the best quarterback in the country this year.
My Dougie.
Yeah.
My Dougie.
Max Duggan. Listen, the whole offense, that Garrett Riley TCU offense goes through Max Duggan. I understand they got Kendre Miller in the backfield. I understand they got Quentin Johnston at receiver, who is an absolute baller. But Quentin Johnston went out a couple weeks ago with an ankle injury. He missed him, and they leaned on Max Duggan to pull that win out. He's come back and brought TCU back from multiple double-digit deficits because his defense half the time doesn't show up till the second half. So the fact that he's done that, I think he's the best quarterback this year in college football right now. And like I said, it could change, but we're going off right now.
And talk about the way he finished off the season today. My boy went 17 for 24, 212 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 62-14 win against Iowa State. We need to put some more respect on Max Duggan as well. And I think, AJ, people need to pay attention because AJ's A-list Heisman edition has been decided.
He stands in the pocket, in the middle, fires, touchdown Notre Dame! What a catch, Michael Mayer!
He's a good route runner. He's a big physical guy, so he uses his body really well. I think he catches the ball really well, and he creates space in his routes.
They do a good job of making it very challenging defensively to kind of earmark where the ball is being directed. The best tight end in the country to direct the ball to as well. We got 2 guys on him. One of the 2, if not both of them, have to get him on the ground.
DTR wants to throw, throws, it's intercepted! Corey Foreman with the pick over the middle!
DBs that continue to find ways to make plays and give the ball back to their offense. They're disruptive. They play different coverages, and the ability to put pressure on the quarterback forces the quarterback to make poor decisions and get the ball out of his hands before maybe they want to.
They want the ball. They want to have takeaways. For us, Coach Freeman always emphasizes the ball is the most important thing. After every play, after every touchdown, hand the ball to the ref. That's what we're going to try to do, is have the ball as long as possible and as much as possible.
You heard the players. Now let's see the game. Number 15, Notre Dame visiting USC. First quarter scoreless game. Caleb Williams said, "I will gladly take the Heisman." And this touchdown finds Taj Washington for 6. USC gets on the board. It's 7-0. And then we're going to go into the second quarter. Fighting Irish down 10-0. Drew Pine finds the tank of a human Carmichael Mayer. All 6'4", 240 pounds of him for a 22-yard touchdown. 34 seconds up in the first half. Check out the read by Williams on this play. Talk about a great pull there, AJ.
Yeah, that was a great read. Listen, the DN rushed the mesh point. He did a good job of pulling it.
And then Drew Pine in the third, late in it, finds Dion Cozy. 23 yards down the field for a touchdown. Pine had himself a day, 23 for 26, 318 yards and 3 touchdowns, but the Trojans ended up being too much. Williams yet again takes it in for a touchdown. USC extends the lead 31 to 24 at that point. And listen, they ended up getting this dub 38 to 27. Caleb Williams, 18 for 22, 232 yards, a touchdown. He feels like he's going to be the Heisman winner. There was one point in this game where he actually did the pose and held it there. We just did AJ's A-list. He's second on yours. How do you feel about his performance and USC, because this was huge for their resume?
No, 100%. Listen, I still think it's a toss-up between him and Max Duggan. Like, Max Duggan has put up crazy numbers this year as well. And they've both played, I would say, close to about the same schedule. Maybe Scoob can check me on that. But for me, Caleb still has a chance to really separate himself next week in the Pac-12 championship. They face Washington. So you have an opportunity to really separate yourself again, going against a ranked opponent in the conference championship game. So for me, he's still at number 2, but that can change.
Now, with this win, they're 6. Y'all see it. And we saw 5 lose. LSU, they caught the L. And we saw Michigan get the win over Ohio State. This kind of opens up some things for the people behind. And I know you want to talk about how Alabama now has a chance, AJ.
Well, I've been saying it for a couple weeks. This college season's been crazy, right? Like, we think somebody's going to win, and then they end up losing. And, nobody can get a handle on how this season's really going to go. So Bama needed a couple of teams to lose. They needed either TCU to lose, or they needed, of course, I thought LSU was going to lose. I was just making them lose in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
And then we needed Ohio State or Michigan, one of them, to blow the other out. Well, guess what? Michigan today blew Ohio State out of the stadium and made them look like they didn't belong on the same field as them. So I think that knocks Ohio State out of the picture. Yes, they only have one loss, but their one loss was it was a really, really bad loss. Granted, to a good Michigan team, but it's a bad loss. Bama has 2 losses by combined total of 4 points, both of them on the road. So Ohio State's loss was at home and by 20-plus points. So I don't think those two, those losses compare.
Yeah, and then the thing about that LSU loss, it actually would have helped Alabama if LSU lost in the SEC championship rather than losing to Texas A&M. But the fact that Texas A&M pulled this out, I don't know how much it says about the Texas A&M team or the LSU team kind of just giving up here. You had it all in front of you, and you just fumbled the bag.
Well, but you also could make a case that a Texas A&M win kind of helps Alabama too in a way, just because Alabama has a win over A&M.
True.
And so it really, like, the SEC itself has been confusing this year because you have a bunch of really good teams, but one week they dominate somebody, and then the next week when we feel like it's a team that they should dominate, for instance, Ole Miss. Ole Miss was on a roll. Ole Miss has a bad loss at home versus Alabama, a game they thought they should have won, and then they turn around and get mollywopped by Arkansas the next week to an Arkansas team that we thought was not very good. They were earlier in the year, so it's all over the place. So, listen, Bama still needs USC to lose. If USC wins out, then they're in. But if USC loses...
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. And they still have that Pac-12 championship.
Yep.
If USC loses, that's what I just want chaos. I want as much chaos as possible in college football. And if USC loses, that changes things completely. And Caleb Williams, he has played really well. And granted, this USC team has really relied on turnovers. And it was kind of the same situation in this game. Drew Pine had an interception and he had a fumble. But Drew Pine probably had a career game today.
Yeah.
And they still managed to keep it close. So USC, if they're in a situation where they're not getting as many turnovers in the game, I don't know if they're really a top 4 team in the country. But it's worked all year, so am I going to keep calling them out?
Yeah. Listen, I still think if USC loses that game to Washington, I don't think the committee puts Washington into the college football playoff talk as, even though they're the Pac-12 championship. I think Bama gets that nod. And I think the fact that Ohio State got beat so bad by Michigan that Bama gets the head, the
that's
head-to-head
the interesting
battle.
one.
And that's what it's going
Tuesday.
to come down to.
Tuesday, watch Ranking Reactions with Jason Fitz, AJ, and Christine Williamson right here after the committee releases all their the rankings. I think the most interesting thing that we're going to be looking for is where's Ohio State, where's Alabama. Now let's take a look at the scoreboard of what's going on around college football. And listen, I did not expect this. I bet the plus 14 for Vanderbilt coming into this game, and now I look like a dummy. 56-0. Tennessee got it done in all 3 phases in this game with punt returns and so what and this, and the running game worked really well. And then Kansas State, they get the 20-point win over Kansas. Kansas was really like the Cinderella of the season early on, but they've just closed out their season pretty ugly, if you would say. Game's still going on. That is not the final. 47-27. They're still going on right now. And then looking at our last game, we got Washington versus Washington State. You have something to say about this Washington State team. Michael Penix Jr., remember, leads the country in passing yards, and they are a threat.
I'll tell you what's interesting about this game, Scoop. If Washington loses this game, it goes back to Oregon. Right? I believe so. I think it goes back to Oregon to play in the Pac-12 championship versus USC, which is another interesting battle right there. Like, Oregon's a team that I think could easily beat USC and spoil their season.
Oregon disappointed today, but they still have a chance. So we'll see. It is the season of giving. Who knows if the football gods want to give them some type of gift. But right now, it's time for us to do a game. Listen, man, this music sounds a little too sensual. All right, so this is a game. Sharin is McCarron. I got some names in here. And since it is the happy season, AJ is going to have to say something nice about whatever I pull out of here. So first up, Texas A&M. Say something nice. Sharin is McCarron.
You had a big win today. Proud of you. Finally.
ACC.
Oh. I like Drake May. He's the only player I like in the ACC.
Jim Harbaugh.
Hey, you beat Ohio State down today. You didn't just win, you beat them down.
Clemson.
Oh. Listen, your head coach is an Alabama guy. There you go.
USC.
Oh, I wish you nothing but the best till next week.
Auburn.
Cadillac Williams, I'm proud of you, and I hope they keep you on staff.
Ohio State defense.
Oh. You helped the team out until today. Good job.
Oh, you find a good one there. All right, hey, here we go. Nick Saban. Let's give him a good one. Let's give him a good one.
Coach, shout out to you. Proud of you.
Mel Tucker.
You got paid, baby. That's all that matters. You got paid.
The check cleared.
Yeah.
Ryan Day.
Ooh. Keep working. Keep working, Coach. You're going to get Michigan eventually.
Brian Harson.
Hey, listen, Auburn never gave you a chance, Coach. I thought you were a good coach, but they never gave you a chance. Hey, it's hard to be successful there.
All right, last one, LSU.
I got a bunch of boys. Shout out to my boys, Odell, Juice, Jeremy Hill. I got a bunch of friends that played there.
There it is. Sharing is McCarron. Even though it was one-worded answers some of the time, I'm in tears. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, happy holidays to everyone out there. Next week is our last show, so make sure you tap in with us then. This has been the wrap-up with Skubie, Mageza, and AJ McCarron. Make sure y'all have a good night, man. Peace.